Hello, welcome to the 7th lesson in Spiral 2, and we're looking at ratio and proportion. And the goal is I can demonstrate understanding of ratio and proportion and relate them to real-world applications. So what is a ratio? What is a ratio? So a little bit of writing here. A ratio is a comparison of two objects. And off to the side, we'll do an example over here. So like we said in the previous video, we could do boys to girls, or we could do milk to Cheerios. And the nice thing is, you don't have to have the same units for a ratio. The units can be whatever they are. What is a proportion? A proportion is a comparison of, instead of two objects, it's two ratios. All right, so what's my example for this? It would look like this. So boys to girls in, and I'll put a subscript, math class. And how does it compare to the boys in gym class? Let's not use gym, that's too many G's. Let's go with boys to girls equals boys to girls. Like I said, math class versus English class. All right. So it's a comparison of two ratios instead. So here's ratio number 1 and ratio number 2. All right. Here we are just doing one object versus another object. All right. So I think we can dive right into some problems here. So determine the missing value. So this should be a review of yesterday. The only thing is we're making it a little bit more challenging. So again, if we want to compare, I need the factor. 7x doesn't work because I need another number. So how did the 10 become a 40? Well, we multiplied it by 4. So we're going to do the same for this. So therefore, x will equal 28. So yes, it is a review, refresher from yesterday. Same thing with b part. 3 times what gives me x? Not enough information. So let's go to 21 times what gives me 49. So when I look at that, that's not going to work out evenly. So now today I want you to practice doing a shortcut. I want you to do 21y equals 49. All right. I want you to jump to that multiplication right away. So we do a little bit of a rough calculation off to the side. I want to see that calculation. It is required. So 49 divided by 21 gives me 2.3 repeated. So that's what I'm going to multiply. So 21 times 2.3 repeated times 2.3 repeated. That would mean that x is equal to, multiplied by 3, and it comes out to be an even 7. All right. So again, I'll stress this. I need to see this calculation off to the side. All right. Moving on to question C, 18 to 21. That's going to be a funny number. So what's it going to look like? It's going to be 18y equals 21. Divide both sides by 18. We're isolating using our algebra skills. Inverse operation leaves me with y. And 21 divided by 18 is 1.16 repeated. So 1.16 repeated will give me that answer. So that means that 30 times 1.16 repeated will give me my x value. So 30 times that factor is an even 35. All right. My final example. A little bit different here. X times something gives us 70. So we're going to work this out, and what I'm going to recommend, I want to go the opposite direction. I want to be going to the unknown. I don't want to ever be leaving it. So instead of going this direction like I drew, I always want to go to the unknown. Okay? So I'm going to go from 70 2x, which means that I'm going to go from 144 to 12. All right, you always want to go to the unknown. It makes it a lot easier to work out the math. All right, that means that 144 times y is going to give me 12. So it's going to be a decimal value, and there's no problem with that. Divide both sides by 144. It's an inverse operation. 12 divided by 144 is 0.083 repeated. So that means I have to multiply by 0.083 repeated. So 70 times that number gives us 5.83 repeated. All right? So remember, you always want to go to the unknown. All right? That'll make more sense in future lessons. All right, off to the next and final set of examples here. What happens if we have it in terms of fractions? All right, so it's just working with the fractions. Same idea as the previous ones, except now they're not. They're in a bit different format than they were here. Here they're in ratio. Here they're in fraction. So you always want to go to the unknown. So we're heading in this direction. So 9 times what gives us 6. 9y equals 6. Divide both sides by 9. It's an inverse operation. Y equals 6 divided by 9 is 2/3, or 0.6 repeated. So 9 times 0.6 repeated will give me the answer. If I multiply that by 10, my k value will equal 6.7. Okay? What I want you to do right now is pause the video. I want you to try these on your own because I'm just going to write in final answer for you so you can check that. So if you go ahead and pause it right now, I want you to try the next 3 on your own, and then when you hit play again, the answers will be there. All right, so there are the answers for F, G, and H. Check to make sure you got them correct. It's the same process every time. If you had trouble with those, you need to ask the teacher for help or clarification because you need to be able to do these comfortably. Moving on to the last 2 examples. Sorry, 3 examples. Ming was planning a trip to Western Samoa. Before going, she did some research. So she's going to change or exchange her money. The exchange rate is 6 tala for $2. How many tala would she get if she exchanged $6? So we know that 6 tala will get her $2. She's going to give it $6 in. So we need to figure out what that value would be. The conversion turns out to be very nice because to make a 2 into a 6, we simply multiply by 3. So if we multiply the top by 3, therefore, Ming would get 18 tala. Okay, so you can set up currency exchange as 2 equivalent ratios or fractions. I could have also set it up like this. 6t to $2 equals blank $6. So it's whichever you're more comfortable with. Doesn't matter. They do the exact same thing. Exact same marks. Comes to evaluation. A car travels 125 miles in 3 hours. So 125, I'm going to switch. I'll go to the other system for you in 3 hours. So I'm going to use proportions. How far will it travel in 5 hours? So blank to 5. So I need to find out this factor right here. The hours is what I know. It's not going to work out even. So 3y equals 5. Divide both sides by 3. Inverse operation. It's going to be 5/3, or if you want to do it as a decimal, 1.6 repeated. So that means I have to multiply by 1.6 repeated times 1.6 repeated. So times 125. I need to see all of that to get 208.3 repeated. So therefore, they drive 208.3 miles in 5 hours. All right, final example. The scale on a diagram is 1 to 250, so you're in a tech class or shop class. That means that every unit on the diagram represents 50 units in real life. So if a tree is 4 centimeters in the diagram, how tall is it in real life? Well, if we know our scale is 1 to 250, all right, so this is drawing to real life, 4 centimeters on the diagram, that would be our drawing. So 4 centimeters on the drawing is how tall in real life. So I'm just putting the subscripts there so I know which is which. So to go from 1 to 4, I multiplied by 4. So that means that the 250 has to be multiplied by 4. So when we multiply by 4, we get 1,000. That's in centimeters. So therefore, the tree is 1,000 centimeters or 10 meters tall. All right. So there we go. There are some examples for using ratios in some word problems that we expect you to be able to do. So you should be able to do scale diagram questions. You should be able to do exchange rate questions, money, and then we can expect you to do unit rate questions involving velocity and times. All right. If you have any questions, please make sure you ask your teacher for assistance or for clarification.